It was the autumn of 1974. Writer Stephen King and his wife were driving through Estes Park, Colorado, in the middle of a snowstorm. When they could drive no further because of a roadblock, they decided to call it quits and stop for the night at an old hotel overlooking the city. One of the grandest hotels of the West, the Stanley had fallen on hard times and was a ghost of its former Edwardian-era self. Upon entering the reception area, the author learned the hotel was closing up for the winter, and only a few staff would be remaining. Not put off, the couple were checked into room 217, the presidential suite, as the only paying guests. We were the only people in that hotel, and the wind was whistling outside and the rooms were all empty. That night, Stephen had a nightmare in which he dreamt that his young son was being chased down the hotel's long and silent corridors by an animated, possessed fire hose. He woke drenched in sweat and went onto the balcony to calm his nerves with a cigarette. By the time he'd stubbed it out, he'd worked out the bones of what would become his third novel and first bestseller, The Shining. The novel turned out to be a breath of new life for the historic landmark that served as inspiration for the fictional Overlook Hotel. The popularity of the hotel for paranormal teams and the merely curious has continued since 1977. The pilgrimages increased tenfold with the 1980 film adaptation directed by Stanley Kubrick and starring Jack Nicholson. The Stanley Hotel story began when inventor Freeland Oscar Stanley, stricken with tuberculosis, travelled with his wife Flora to Estes Valley in the hopes of getting his health back. Stanley had been advised to not make plans beyond 6 months. The doctor arranged for the couple to stay in a friend's cabin for the summer. Immediately they fell in love with the area, and Mr. Stanley's health began to dramatically improve. After spending the whole summer there, Flora wanted a home like the one she had left in Maine, and the couple built their new home about 1/2 mile west of where the Stanley Hotel would later be built. The house still stands today and is a private residence. Stanley built the hotel on land that he had purchased from the Irish Earl, Lord Dunraven. Dunraven came to the area in 1872 while on a hunting trip. He built a hunting lodge, cabin and hotel for his guests, and illegally homesteaded up to 6,000 acres in an unsuccessful attempt to create a private hunting preserve. Dunraven was finally run out of the area after trying to swindle local people out of their land and money. In 1906, construction started on the Stanley Hotel. Wood and rock were obtained from the nearby mountains, and the hotel was built in the Georgian architectural style. In 1909, the hotel was completed, with no expense spared on luxury fittings. Equipped with running water, electricity and telephones, the only amenity the hotel lacked was heat, as the hotel was originally designed as a summer resort. The Stanley Hotel has folded its protective wings around many famous guests, including the unsinkable Molly Brown, John Philip Sousa, Theodore Roosevelt, the Emperor and Empress of Japan, and a variety of Hollywood personalities. And of course the Stanley Hotel hosted Stephen King, whose experience there would have such a beneficial influence in ensuring the hotel's future. Stanley died in 1940 at the age of 91, but his spirit is said to still roam his beloved hotel. Staff says he's often seen in the hotel's billiard room and bar. Stanley's wife Flora has also reportedly been spotted in the hotel, and her presence is signalled by the tinkling of the hotel's piano. Employees and guests have reported hearing music coming from the room, and when they take a peek in there, they can see the piano keys moving without human intervention. Keen on good posture, it is said that she pinches guests or runs an icy finger down their back to remind them to stand up straight. Another devoted resident guest that never checked out is a former housekeeper of the hotel, Elizabeth Wilson. She was the Stanley Hotel's head chambermaid. On July 25, 1939, Wilson was lighting lanterns in room 217 when she was seriously injured by a gas explosion. She survived the blast and continued working at the hotel, reaching the grand old age of 90. It would appear that Elizabeth, long after her death, feels her past duty to the hotel has earned her the right to lay claim to room 217. Guests report items being moved, luggage being packed up, and lights going off and on. It also seems Elizabeth is rather moralistic and is very disapproving of unmarried couples. Couples who haven't tied the knot have reported feeling a chilling presence between them while in bed, and single men have woken to find their bags had been packed and left outside the door. The spirits come in all sizes. It is claimed that the ghost of a child with autism also roams the grounds, and is known to play with the hair of guests. Staff say the boy, affectionately named Billy, is drawn to those who work with individuals with autism, or who are familiar with the developmental disorder. On the 4th floor, guests have also reported hearing children running around, laughing and playing. Guides say that's where nannies and the children they watched over would spend much of their time back in the day, which is interesting because despite numerous reported sightings of spectral children on the hotel's 4th floor and the original attic space, records show no child ever died there. Perhaps it's the amount of human activity that draws them there. There are several rooms in the hotel that seem to have a concentrated level of paranormal activity. One is room 407, which is said to be occupied by the devilish Lord Dunraven, who may be aggrieved at having to give his land up. Reportedly, he likes to stand in the corner of the room near the bathroom door. A couple have reported that while staying in that room, a light in that corner kept turning on and off. While the light was off, they told the ghost that they knew he was there. They would only be staying 2 nights, and would he please turn the light back on? The light turned back on. However, later when the lights were turned off and they were trying to sleep, noises were constantly heard from the nearby elevator, during a time when the elevator was not in use. At other times, a ghostly face has been reported to be looking out of the window of room 407, when the room is not booked. Room 418 gets the most reports of haunting activity, apparently from children's playful spectres. Cleaning crews report having heard many strange noises from that room, as well as seeing impressions on the bed when the room has been empty. When guests stay in that room, they often report that they hear children playing in the hallway at night. One couple reportedly checked out of the hotel very early in the morning, complaining that the children in the hallway kept them up all night. However, there were no children booked in the hotel at that time. Reportedly, Stephen King also saw the materialization of a child spirit, who was calling out to his nanny on the 2nd floor. Not all the ghosts in the Stanley are of the human kind. There is a pet cemetery on the property, where the various owners of the hotel over the years have buried their beloved furry friends. Guests have reported seeing the ghosts of some of the animals buried there, wandering around the property. Among them is a golden retriever named Cassie and a white cat named Comanche, and they have been spotted all throughout the grounds, including in the hallways and guest rooms. The cemetery and ghost stories predate King's novel Pet Sematary, which features animals coming back to life after being buried in the spot of an ancient burial ground that was once used by Native Americans. Guides end their tours in a cave system below the hotel, where staff say there is a higher than average concentration of limestone and quartz, which is believed by some to draw spirits to the property. The caves served a functional purpose in the early days of the Stanley. It was seen as unprofessional for the staff to be seen by guests, so employees used the underground pathways to travel between rooms and the hotel's bar, restaurant and laundry facilities. The ghost of a pastry chef is said to haunt the caves. Guests have often detected the delightful aroma of baked confections in certain spots. It comes as no surprise that the hotel's most requested room is 217, the one where Stephen King stayed that fateful visit 48 years ago. The same room that allegedly drove Jim Carrey to flee in the middle of the night, never to return, when the actor was on location filming 1994's Dumb and Dumber. Room 401 is, according to some, the creepiest room in the hotel, and is thought to be haunted by an unfriendly male entity. Women have claimed that they were inappropriately touched by the sinister presence while standing near the room's closet. One man claims he witnessed his wedding ring move by itself from the bathroom counter and fall down the drain of the sink in the bathroom. Another disembodied guest is Eddie, a smelly middle-aged man who's known to replace light bulbs. Lucy, a girl who dislikes having her photograph taken. Hers was the only room guests were asked not to take photos in. And Paul, who loves cigarettes and booze. He didn't have a specified role, but he would do all the odd jobs, and tasks that weren't covered by other employees. One of those tasks was to enforce an 11 p.m. curfew for guests, which is perhaps the reason he likes to tell hotel guests to get out of his room after that hour. Paul had died of a heart attack, and most guests experience chest pains when they step into his room. Another ghostly hotspot is the ice house. Before indoor refrigeration, this outbuilding did exactly what the name suggests: house large blocks of ice. The ice house is also where the previously mentioned Billy spends his afterlife. Billy was once a kind, shy boy with dark brown hair. In photos he appears only as a misty figure. He allegedly shares the ice house with the spirit of another gentleman, who sports a large bushy beard and white hair. In room 428, the manifestation of a cowboy has been witnessed, looming over the bed in the night, or standing in the corner. The cowboy is said to sometimes also give lady guests a ghostly kiss. There aren't any rooms above this room, yet over the years there have been multiple reports of strange sounds like furniture being moved and footsteps emanating from the ceiling. There are a few theories about the source of the hauntings. Some point towards the Ute and Arapaho tribes, upon whose land the hotel was built. But the most common belief is that the spirits who wander the halls today are the hotel's guests and the loyal employees who remain eternally faithful to the hotel and their respective roles within it. Well, my dears, would you go and stay in the Stanley Hotel overnight in deep winter? Well, I would if I had the place to myself. Or should I say, to Odette and myself. Wouldn't want to be alone in a spooky old hotel. No, I would if it was, like Stephen King experienced it. Because you'll see by the reviews why it wouldn't appeal to me now. But because I loved The Shining so much, I love, present tense, The Shining so much, I would definitely like to visit the place. But I would want that privileged VIP experience, not with the multitudes that go there, throng there every day. I can still watch The Shining. I love that movie. Apparently Stephen King didn't like it. He did not like Stanley Kubrick's version of his novel. In fact, what I read, if that's true, quote, that he hates Stanley Kubrick's work. I really liked the movie. I loved the book, of course. I read the book many years ago. Loved the book. I really liked Kubrick's interpretation of the book. Not bad. I mean, I could watch it again. Odette refuses to watch it again. I mean, I would. I could, I'm like that. I can go back to old movies that I love and watch it again and just revel in it and bathe in it. But she won't. If she's seen it once, that's it. So I'd have to watch it when she's not around. So are you a fan of The Shining? Let me know. Very soon I'm going to read out some reviews of the Stanley Hotel. Not all glowing, unfortunately. Mostly because of the crowds that go there, of course. It's a very popular destination because of Stephen King's book, because it's such a beautiful old hotel. I like the idea of haunted hotels. I have stayed in a couple. I don't like the ones that keep you awake at night. I have stayed in one. Odette and I stayed in one in England, with a lot of poltergeist activity, which really kept us awake, and we kept going out in the hallway. It was right outside the hall, and there was no one there. We found out later the place was indeed very haunted. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the reviews of the Stanley Hotel, or at least some of them. We can't look for all of them. There's many. These are public, so I can read them out. No EU data protection looming. I hate this EU data protection, especially when you have those beautiful old urban explorations of antique homes, and they blur out the images of the people from the 1800s. Oh, come on! Don't hide these people. Don't blur them out. How dare they get rid of our past? It really annoys me that. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So he was saying our room was between the cowboy attic and the haunted room. The walls and door are thin, so our room was very noisy. Ghost noises would have been fun, but it sounded more like a hostel. I think that seems to be the problem. Yeah, this is an interesting one by John M. The beautiful Stanley Hotel was a disappointing experience. Having fully adopted The Shining into every aspect of the hotel, well, they would, paying guests are an afterthought. Tours go on all day and night, with day trippers filling the hotel lobby, parking lot and restaurants. They wander on all floors of the hotel from early morning till almost midnight. They bring out hordes of loud children who run wild in and around the hotel. Blah, blah, blah. I recognise The Shining history brings money, but at almost $400 a night for a room, I expect to be the first priority of the staff and the hotel in general. Not allowed to check in until after 4 p.m. That part that I sourced during the movie about the ghost noises of children during the night, it's probably actual real children, living children running around the hallways. Constant tourists and poor... Yeah, it would put me off. It will put me off all these tourists. I would love to go and visit the hotel without the hordes of people. And apparently there is no parking reserved for hotel guests. So you have to try and fight it out with the rest of the tourists, which would also put me off. Well, this guy's wrote a lot, hasn't he? Well, this girl, Jennifer, has wrote a lot. Yeah, don't waste your money. You can have the same access as a paying guest on all floors at all times, and free to make all the noise you want with $10 parking. You can literally just stay in the hall all night without paying the over $500 a night like we did. They were always outside our door. And yes, I did ghost hunt many years ago, and I don't begrudge anyone from doing it. Just show respect. At one time we got so irritated with them outside our door, we played a dog whistle for their EVP. I like that, Jennifer. Never again. I'd love to go to Estes Park again, but I promise you I won't be staying at the Stanley or even visiting it. Complete waste of money. They are just herding cattle over there at a premium price. Oh my dear. Well, to be fair, let's read some good reviews as well. My husband and I spent 3 nights in the historic Stanley Hotel. We had a beautiful and spacious corner room with all of the amenities we would expect. Everyone in the hotel and all the restaurants were kind and gracious. From the minute we checked in until the minute we left, we were taken care of. We could not have been happier. We stayed in several hotels since the onset of COVID. It has changed housekeeping policies and has affected staffing issues everywhere. I am just grateful that we are able to travel again and are so excited that we stayed at the Stanley. Patience, kindness, and understanding benefit everyone. So that was written in August, which is the summer months. So I'm guessing it would have been a bit slow during, August 2022. You'd think there would be a lot of people there. So maybe their room was a quiet one. Tremendous customer service. That's from Mike. Okay, so, there's a balance of reviews, and most of them are very good. It seems to be the complaints about the tourists, but I guess they are to be expected for such a popular and famous hotel. And the staff seem very good there. The staff seem very good. Classic, timeless, spooky, and beautiful. I don't know what the complaints are. The hotel is magic and would be magic if you dropped it anywhere in the world. Put it in a valley at the top of the Rockies and it's just an insane experience. Beds were super comfy and the rooms were charming. Obsessed. The best hotel experience, Jordan writes. Wow. After already booking a room at the lodge at the Stanley Hotel from June the 30th to July the 3rd, stumbled upon some of these reviews and they really freaked me out. I almost thought about cancelling, but I'm so glad that we didn't. I made an account to leave a review of our experience specifically for this reason. The lodge at the Stanley was clean, quiet and calm. Our room, called a lodge suite, was clean and spacious. We had an in-window air conditioning unit that we could use, but we liked having the windows open and much better, and the room stayed cool. We had a beautiful view of the Rockies in the background. It provided the perfect space to go after hiking. The grounds are spacious and welcoming. We never had an issue with parking or the check-in process. It was also very walkable to downtown Estes food and shops. Although I can't speak for the main building, the lodge at the Stanley, so this is a lodge outside of the main building. I think the main building is actually where the activity is, where people want to be. So, I didn't realize they had lodges as well. Yeah. So, one more bad review to round it off. Well, here we have one where somebody said, on the first day, the resident ghost... So here we have an interesting one. On the first day, the resident ghost made his presence known. We also experienced the walking on the roof and the sound of people walking in the hallway late at night when we were all sleeping. Well, I guess that's the ghost hunters themselves. So, yeah. I asked to stay in one of the other spirited rooms. Sorry, they are booked, but they will let me know if one opens up. Okay. So I'll put in the keyword ghost here, ghost tour. I wanted to see whether anybody had a ghostly experience. We stayed in room 418, and I believe there are children still roaming the floor and playing around in 418. Okay. Still, we don't know if it's the real children of the tourists. Anyway, have any of you stayed there at the Stanley Hotel? I would love to know about your experience. Please tell me if you've been there. And if you haven't been there, go specially for me, please, to let me know. Oh dear. We took the ghost tour, which was so disappointing. Well, a lot of people loved it, and some people didn't like it. So I think the positive votes definitely outweigh the negative ones. So don't let anything that we've read out here put you off. It's a beautiful hotel by the looks of it. It has a lot of history. It has that, that famous aspect that Stephen King stayed there and wrote his first bestseller about it. So I would definitely like to go one day. I think I would go in winter when there's not many people around. That would be, I think, the best experience in winter. There, you have my 2 cents worth. One of the most memorable scenes in The Shining, especially for men, is the bathroom scene, where this gorgeous lady emerges from the bath, but very soon, much to Jack's consternation, turns into a foul, decomposing, mouldy hag. Well, not only was she gorgeous, but the bathroom is. I love the design and colour scheme. I'd love a bathroom like that. Many people might not know that the lady who starred in that scene was Swiss. She was born in Zurich, where I live, and sadly she died last year, in August last year, I think. So it's nearly exactly a year since she passed, and she said she had no experience in acting. Stanley Kubrick chose her because she was a model who didn't have a problem with posing nude. And she had no idea at the time when it was filmed that it was going to be such a cult success. She was very surprised at the popularity of it. And in my absent-mindedness, I nearly forgot to mention her name. Her name is Leah Beldam. Much love and blessings on your new journey, Leah. Another memorable scene is, of course, with Jack talking to the bartender, Lloyd. And when I first sort of started this channel, I did a few tributes to The Shining. I will include the links here underneath the description. If I forget, please tell me and I will include them. As I mentioned before, I really had a thing for The Shining, and so I did a couple of strange tributes which you can check out. And a big shout out to my friend in upstate New York. You know who you are. We always have a bit of an in-joke about the bath scene with the old lady at the end resembling someone we all know very well. I have a chuckle when I think about that now, but when I was a kid and I saw that scene, it really seared into my brain when she turned into the old woman. It was quite scary. Also just found out that Lloyd, the bartender who was played by Joe Turkel, has just died this year, and he reached the grand age of 94. And wasn't he so magnificent in that part? He really had quite a sinister yet charming presence. Oh my goodness, they're all dropping off, my friends. They're all dropping off. And to the final part, before I say tutty bye. Yes, some people will know and some won't know, and would always think that The Shining would have been filmed at the Stanley Hotel, but in fact it wasn't. It was filmed in numerous places. One was a studio, but Stanley Kubrick found that the Timberline Lodge in Oregon was more suitable for what he had in mind. That was a big surprise to me. I didn't learn that till many years later. By the way, this site is historydaily.org. And so Stanley Kubrick wanted the interior to look like the Ahwahnee Hotel, I hope I pronounced that correctly, located in Yosemite National Park in California. So that's what he wanted the interior like, that sort of beautiful, warm, outdoorsy feel. So this is from a site called ScreenRant.com. It was also about the room. In the Shining novel, the mysterious room where some supernatural events take place is room 217. In the film, it was changed to 237. This was due to a request from the Timberline Lodge that was used for the exterior shots of the Overlook Hotel. The Timberline's management asked Kubrick not to use 217 as they feared guests would no longer want to stay in that room once the film was out. So funny. And so room 237 was created, as there's no such room number in that hotel. Ironically, room 217 is the most requested one at the Timberline Lodge, so you can't fool people. They find out about these things. So people staying at 217 at the Stanley for no real particular reason, are they? I guess, well, because he mentioned it in the novel, of course, yeah. So yeah, that's an important enough reason. What am I talking about? Of course, well, that's funny. Well, both hotels are getting a bit of a trade out of the book and the movie. And on that note, my dear friends, and don't you just love that interior? I'd love to go and visit that hotel. It looks gorgeous. Well, my dears, I've prattled on enough. Going to love you and leave you. And until next time, bye-bye and God bless.